mwakinya motini Mwana giri wakayama de mwero kejo hidungu Sayuri atwanyire motini Ndware tasai ware mwago Todo twanyu wagana isiko Adwaito uremete ikombe
With the year 2010 as the benchmark, the face of Kikuyu popular music is a form called Mugithi. Mugithi, meaning train in Kikuyu, draws its origins from a popular Christian tune from the 1970s that became a rallying song during wedding parties. By the 1990s, Mugithi, by now very secular, through performances by such musical giants of what became known as one-man guitar as Joe Mwenda, Kafel Maina, Sam Muthe, Mike Krua, Salim Jr. and Mike Moremi, was so popular that to say, "Let's go to Mugithi," meant, "Let's go to party" at a night spot with live music. Mugithi had become so pervasive as to be a feature of funeral ceremonies as well. When radio and TV stations want to attract an audience from central Kenya, they mount road shows dubbed Mugithi, with popular musicians of the day performing atop trailers in a convoy. Business entrepreneurs take advantage of the scenario to showcase their merchandise. And politicians don't miss out either by making Mugithis part of their Meet the People tours. Most Mugithi musicians have an instantly recognizable uniform of sorts, complete with cowboy boots and Stetson hats, much alike American country music singers. Analysts say that this country music outlook is no coincidence, because Kikuyu popular music has certifiable links to country music, dating back to the great exponent of American country music, Jimmy Rogers. In fact, in Kikuyu parlance, a Jimmy is a toughie. Initially, one-man guitarists did not record their music and remained relatively unknown outside their own circuit of club venues. But when, in the 1980s, these artists started pulling people onto the dance floor using Mugithi, just as the Christian faithful had done with the same tool at weddings, they hit gold. There was a huge fan base out there. Analysts have pointed out that these Mugithi venues were in part an outlet for Kikuyu nationalism, then at an all-time high since the days of the Mau Mau, following the perceived marginalization of the Kikuyu people during the era of President Daniel Arap Moi. Others posit that Mugithi had been altogether bad for Kikuyu music, as it has, with the expiry of the copyright period, exploited the intellectual property of older musicians who lived in poverty with nothing to speak for their earlier creativity. Mugithi artists have been exploited, so the argument continues, because they were hired and paid a take-it-or-leave-it one-time settlement. Furthermore, a new generation of singers is accused of changing the words of some of the older classics in a degenerative way that favors crowd-pleasing irua or circumcision songs.
There are some one-man guitarists who don't sing quite right because they are outside of scene. This is not the case with full bands. That is the main difference with one-man in bands.
There is a problem with the one-man guitars. They don't compose their own. They want to play what is popular to the revelers, because you find these one-man guitars are mainly in nightclubs and social places. It's like they cannot compose their own music. And then there are issues also of copyright, because now they're being challenged by the owners of the copyright.
The naysayers, it must be said, are presenting too negative a picture. The popularization of these songs through Mugithi gave them a new lease of life by introducing them to a newer generation of listeners who became curious to know more about their origins and their originators, some of whom found themselves being dug out from obscurity and thrust into the limelight, dragged onto talk shows in the new FM stations. S.K. Kimani, who in his 70s was to re-enter the recording studio, paying tribute to President Mwai Kibaki.
I sang 4 songs for Kibaki. He has not heard them. The person I gave to take to him has not yet delivered them.
Several Mugithi artists, for example, Mike Rua, Mike Murimi, and Florence Wangari Wakabera, have gone on to record their own highly successful compositions.
And in 1998, I released my first album. About one lady guitar. I started teaching myself guitar when I got problems. You would go to play and your guitarist would say, "Pay me right now in advance." Yet you yourself have not been paid. They would go and abandon the guitar. I got so upset, I went and got a teach yourself guitar book. So I taught myself. Nobody taught me.
The Agikuyu largely come from the Mount Kenya region of Kenya, but also live in significant numbers in the Eastern and Rift Valley provinces. They make up about 20% of the country's population and are thus the largest single ethnic group. They are reputed to be very able farmers and also astute traders and businessmen. Linguistically, they are classified as Bantu-speaking. The Kikuyu language Bible was for a long time used by the closely related Ameru and Aembu people. This helped to spread the language and consequently to widen the base for Kikuyu popular music. The Gikuyu as a whole are affluent enough to patronize their musicians. For the Gikuyu, Kerenyaga, their name for the snow-capped Mount Kenya, the second highest in Africa, is a holy mountain, being the abode of Murongongai, or God. They claim Mukurwe wa Gadanga, or the fig tree of Gadanga in Muranga district, as their place of origin. At this largely neglected site, it is said that Murungungai, or God, introduced the patriarch Gikuyu to the matriarch Mombi, a potter. The two begot 9 girls, from whom the 10 Gikuyu clans are named. There is some understandable confusion, which can be explained by saying that when counting people and animals, it is considered as unlucky to mention the real number. Hence the Kikuyu explanation of Kenda Muyuru, or top 9, in reference to the number of clans. Traditionally, music was a central part of Gikuyu life. When a baby was born, the women broke into ululation and song. Indeed, music was used in all rites of passage, and more often than not, to sing was also to dance. Significantly though, the Gikuyu had few musical instruments, including the one-stringed wandindi, the horn